Hello everyone, are you ready for another adventure? It's me, Wokey, and I'm back with another Fake Grand Order video. A little tired because I just got finished working and it's super late at night, so I have to also keep my voice very, very low. And why are we doing this? Well, hopefully you don't hear my voice over the laptop of my brother currently going on in the background. But either way, the thing we're talking about today is the Fate Hollow Extra Remastered Release Celebration campaign, which apparently they decided that we should just get this. I completely forgot that this game was coming out, and when they do that, it usually means that they bring stuff with us. So there's actually two banners here that nobody knew was coming, but that's going to be today's video. We're going to talk about them. So, what actually is in the Fate Hollow Ataraxia? I keep wanting to say Atraxa because of Magic the Gathering, but no, it's Ataraxia. Let's go with that. It's a campaign summary. If you log in now, you'll be able to get this wonderful little CE here to celebrate it being released on Nintendo Switch on Steam for us, which is very nice. You can get it now. If you want to go support their visual novel stuff, it doesn't have anything special to it. All it does is give you some more Master EXP, and that's about it. And then the two things that came with this are a banner that features Bazett and another one that features Caren. I believe Bazett is the one that is currently up and going right now, but I can double check to see if it's both of them going on at the same time. Bazett's banner is from pause. Alright, I'm dumb. It was literally at the top. It's from the 8th into the 14th, and then if we go look at Caren's, it'll likely be the exact same because they both came out at the same time. It'll be here from the 8th to the 14th, so you can actually get both of them. Just goes to show you that I didn't even check the summon screen. I just logged into my FGO after finishing work. I knew maintenance was done. I saw this campaign and I went shit, and then I immediately went to go try and record. So there we go. So let's talk about the two units, shall we? And we'll start with Bazett, and she should be right here. I had to actually go back here because, like I said, it kind of happened out of nowhere, so the site wasn't like prepared for it, and no one's updated yet. And it's not like I updated myself, so it's not like I can complain all that much about it. But yeah, Bazett. We're gonna start with Bazett. She's an alter ego. She has 2 quicks, 1 arts, 2 buster, 6 hits on quick, 3 hits on arts, 2 hits on buster, 5 hits on extra. Her first skill is Sealing Designation Enforcer A, increases on quick performance and buster performance for 3 turns, increases on crit damage for 3 turns, increases on damage against caster enemies for 3 turns, 30% to all 3 of those on a cooldown of 6. Her second skill is the Sea God's Rune EX, or Rune, however you want to pronounce it. Charges own MP gauge, increases on critical star absorption for 1 turn, increases own critical damage for 1 turn, 50% to NP, 500% to absorption, 100% to crit damage, and on a cooldown of 6. Her third skill is the Secession of the Red Branch B, grants self-evasion for a single turn, grants self-debuff immunity for 1 turn, and then gains some crit stars. It's on a cooldown of 5, and you get 20 crit stars. Her passive skills are Magic Resistance B, Writing A, Divinity B, God Holder's Traditional Carrier EX, increase own critical damage by 5%, extends offensive buffs expiration timing on self from end of player turn to the end of the enemy turn. What does that mean? Well, it just means that the offensive buffs, it's not like they last for longer, but they specifically, if they would end, they'll end at the end of the enemy's turn as opposed to the end of your turn. Why does this matter? You're going to find out pretty soon. Third skill is the Anti-Avenger Attack Damage Aptitude, and her Noble Phantasm is Fraggle Rock. That is not how you pronounce this. It's Fraggle Rock, but I like calling it after the Fraggles. The Gouging Sword of the War God, Rank EX, Quick Noble Phantasm. It's a counter. Okay, hold on to this one because it's late at night and this NP is very weird. It's weird to read at times. Draws attention to all enemies to self by 500% for a single turn. Grants self the Fraggle Rock counter status for 1 turn. Fraggle Rock counter, 1 hit, 100% quick type Noble Phantasm card attack treated as neither buff or debuff. Deals damage to 1 enemy when taking attack or becoming target of inactive skills by them except some special actions. If the enemy has break gauges, the counterattack cannot break it and at 1 HP remains. reduces their quick resistance by 10% for 3 turns, then gain 10 crit stars. Here's an additional note. If a buff block skill is used by the enemy on Bazett, and if her Noble Phantasm is used after that, then the attack up and the taunt effect of her Noble Phantasm will be blocked, but the Fraggle Rock counter will be successfully cast in succeeding action if the enemy ever uses an AoE attack or an attack aimed at her, or uses an AoE debuff or a debuff aimed at her. She will be able to counter these actions. If a buff removal skill is used by the enemy on Bazett after her Noble Phantasm is used, both the attack up and the taunt will successfully get removed, but the Fraggle Rock counter will not get removed. The buff removal is treated as a normal action by the enemy, so she will be able to counter it if in succeeding action. If the enemy either uses an AoE attack or an attack aimed at her, or uses an AoE debuff or a debuff aimed at her, she will be able to counter these actions. If Bazett is in an immobile debuff, Fraggle Rock counter will not be activated. This means if she's stunned, she's charmed, she's been pigified, she's been put to sleep, that sounds wrong, eternal sleep, she has any of her stuff sealed up, or she has a normal attack seal, then she won't counter. If the counter is also not triggered when her HP is reduced to 0 by an enemy attack, however, if she is revived by Guts, the counter will be activated. Also, if she is sacrificed to Chen Kong's NP while in Gut states, the counter will not trigger. Any Angramanyu's reflect damage also cannot trigger the counter. The Fraggle Rock counter can bypass an enemy having taunt. The Fraggle Rock counter will also retaliate against the attacker regardless of whether another enemy has taunt. The Fraggle Rock counter will be activated if the MP drain debuff is used by the enemy, either on party or targeted on Bazett. The counter damage is 600% if you have her at MP level 1, and if you get her all the way to MP level 5, it's 1000. She also, for an overcharge, increases her own attack for 1 turn. This activates first. It's 10% on charge level 1. If you get her all the way to the final charge level, it's 30%. And if you get her all the way to the final bond level, you can get her horse in bar. When equipped on Bazett, increases on MP damage by 30%, and then grants self the gut status for 1 time. Revive yourself with 20% HP. And that is Bazett. Is Bazett good? She is good. I really like her a whole bunch. I have never been able to get her, which is a shame because she's like one of the coolest units in the entire game and is just awesome to use. Anytime I've ever used a friend Bazett, it's always felt really good. Her counter is really fun to kind of play around with and do stuff with. Obviously there is some is it like a skill ceiling, I guess, where it takes a while to kind of get used to and understand it, but once you fully understand how to kind of use it, it is a lot of fun. There are negatives to it, like obviously if they're able to stop you, then that means you're, either if they're able to stun you or they just don't take an action that triggers the counter, it doesn't do anything. But if they make an action or a move towards you, she will automatically just bop them in the face. And you'll notice that on here it says that if the enemy has a break gauge, the counter attack cannot be broken and 1 HP remains. That doesn't mean that if you on your turn break their gauge and then on your on the clapback you can then hit them into their new gauge, which means that in some cases there's like really funny thing that this is why this is such a cool unit, because I've seen people be able to grind nodes that are typically 3 turn, but they're able to do it in 2 turns because they're a break gauge. So what they do is that they break the gauge on the first go around, and then on the second go around they're able to kind of go from there. And then if they break the gauge on they break the gauge on the first go around, and then on the clapback they go down to 1 HP, you put that one down to the next one, and then they're left with nothing left, and then from that point on you counter them and you just completely ruin their lives. I think it's a really neat, nifty way. I didn't even think it was possible when this unit was first released to be able to do anything like that with them. This just kind of shows of all the cool things that you can do with them. The negative here is they are alter ego, which, funny enough, I say this as that's a negative because a lot of people find it a little bit awkward to use alter egos. But in Lost Spell 7, this unit absolutely destroys certain bosses. Just absolutely, the main boss that you have near the end of it that you fight, I used a friend Bazett and literally trivialized the entire fight. Just absolutely dunked on them until the end of time. It was amazing. So In terms of this unit, should you get them, it's going to obviously depend on a lot of things, whether or not you actually care about quick. But if you want to take the quick look at it, I do think this unit is extremely good. If you're someone who just likes them because they're a really cool ass looking unit, then boom, you got yourself already kind of settled there. If you're someone who's maybe looking to build towards quick or using more different kind of playstyle of units, just because Bazett has a very different kind of playstyle when you compare them to some of the other ones. Like, for example, Summer Ibuki is a good one to think about because it's a very easy, clean, I hit out of the skills and then she does an AoE and then everything's fine. And she does a lot of damage. Bazett is a little bit more of a kind of thinking ways of doing it in a lot of cool, different, interesting ways. I'm kind of spinning my wheels here at the end because I'm so tired. But either way, I do think she's really cool. I would have likely thrown a multi at her if I had any form of Say Quartz. But it's after Summer. I ain't got shit, pal. Which is, I assume, what most people have. They don't have anything. But I wish you all the best of luck if you do end up summoning for her. Because again, like I said, this is definitely one of those units where I was like, damn, this is a cool ass unit. I wish I got them, but unfortunately I was never able to. Damn, so cool. Anyway, I have to move on. Caren. Let's talk about Caren, or Amor. Caren. She's a ruler. She has 2 clicks, 2 arts, 1 buster, 4 hits on quick, 3 hits on arts, 3 hits on buster, 5 hits on extra. Her active skills are Holy Shroud of the Saint Valentine A. Grant self-invincibility for 3 attacks, 3 turns. Grant self-regeneration buff for 3 turns. Absorbs the party's MP gauge except for self by 10% every turn. The amount of MP drained on allies equals to the amount of MP charged on the skill user. Grants party invincibility except self for 1 attack, 3 turns. Increases party's MP generation rate except for self for 3 turns. 20% to NP rate on a cooldown of 6. Second skill is the Golden Arrow A. 500% chance to draw attention to all enemies to self by 300% for 1 turn. Charges on MP gauge. Reduces all enemies' MP gauge by 1. Reduces their attack and defense for 3 turns. It's 30% to NP and 20% down to attack and defense to the enemy on a cooldown of 7. Her third skill is the Mana Burst Love A. Increases own quick performance for 3 turns, arts performance for 3 turns, and buster performance for 3 turns, and then charge your own MP gauge, and then reduces the enemy NP gauge by 1. 20% to quick arts and buster, and NP as well, with a cooldown of 6. Her passive skills are Item Construction A, Independent Action A, Masochistic Spiritualistic Disposition. I don't know how I was able to do that this late at night. Pronounce that without completely fucking up everything when I wasn't even able to say a sentence like 5 minutes ago. 500% chance to reduce own debuff resistance by 20%. Treated as a buff, it's a demerit though. Increases own attack by 20% while self has debuffs. Note, the demerit is considered as a buff, so the passive does not trigger itself. That's very funny. I didn't even think about that. The attack buff can be triggered by the demerit of a passive skills or craft essence such as Avenger's passive skill debuffs the resistance down to Black Rail's curse debuff and so on. She also has God's Essence B and Iron Willed Faith. And the Iron Willed Faith grants itself a Terror debuff immunity, a Charm debuff immunity, and increased own buster resistance by 10%. Increase own buster resistance by 10%. Her third skill is an anti-archer attack damage aptitude, and her rank EX Noble Phantasm after a strengthening, which I believe, do we have this already? This gets unlocked in Valentine's Day 2022, so therefore it would have already been here for us. That is correct. I had to double check on this. It is the greatest hits calling Agape. That sounds wrong, but it's late at night. Universal Free Infinite Love, Rank EX, Quick, Anti-Unit, hits 5 times, deals damage to all enemies, deals 150% extra damage to enemies with the Chaotic Alignment, reduces their quick resistance by 20% for 3 turns, inflicts buff block status for 1 time, 3 turns to them, increase own MP damage for 1 turn, this activates first, 800% damage at MP level 1, 1200 at MP level 5, the overcharge effect is an increase to own MP damage for 1 turn. This activates first, 10% to charge level 1, and at the final charge level, it's 30%. The Ascension is an extra bonus where you can get Devil Caren, which is like her as the purple guy. And her Bond CE is Singing in the Spring. When equipped to Caren, increases own party's MP generation rate when taking attack by 25% while self is on the field. Big like from MASH on this one. and that is Caren. Caren I know a little bit less about, but it's okay, because at one point I was underestimating Caren, and a Caren fan made sure to yell at me and say, "You don't know what the fuck you're talking about." He wasn't that mean to me, he was actually very nice. And he explained to me that actually she is a fantastic quick looper. She's one of the... They had contention. They were saying they were #1 at the time, but to be fair, when they told me this was years ago. So if anyone wants to give you an update, feel free to let me know. But as far as I know, she is still one of the very good quick loopers in the game currently, because of the way she kind of functions and everything that she does. She's able to get her NP up pretty easily. She's able to get stuff back. She has a good amount of hits, and she does a good bit of damage. And if you're ever fighting someone in the chaotic alignment, you're also able to do a lot of damage, 150% up if you're running into one of them. The only real negatives that I would think of that she has, and especially if you want to, because she's a ruler, you can also kind of bring her into a challenge quest, and you'll have bonus damage against anyone who does not deal bonus damage to rulers. And you'll take less damage, and she has a lot of neat stuff like being able to stall the enemy in their NP gauge, so you can kind of reduce them like that and kind of go at them like that. It even has buff blocking and reducing quick resistance on enemies, and this one can also last for 3 turns, so that means if you're looping them and they have a lot of HP, that you could in theory put this on them at least 3 times before you're finally doing more damage or something like that. So I think a very neat unit. Obviously, like I said, I don't have very much, I haven't used Caren at all very much, so all I know is from what Caren fans have told me, and from what I understand, she's perfectly good. So if you're a fan of Caren, or you just got Hollow, I keep wanting to call it Hollow EX, that it's not what it's called, Hollow Ataraxia, Fate Hollow, and you were a big fan of Caren in there, then this is your chance to get them. Actually, it's very smart for them to kind of do this, because obviously, who wouldn't want to try and summon for 2 of the female main characters from this specific game? Though sadly enough, no Angra Manu rate up. They still refuse to acknowledge that he is in the game. So that's the end of the video, everyone. I hope you liked it. I wish you the best of luck if you are going for them. Like I said, if I had anything... Not my tickets, I can't use those because I'm saving those for Beast Erishkigal, and then also I'm kind of afraid of them revealing Summer Cuckoo, in which case I have to break open the emergency break in case of emergency glass button. That sounds so weird that I just... Whatever, it's okay, it's late at night. I'd have to break that open and then say, like, hey, I'm gonna get only 1 copy of Space Erishkigal, then everything is being saved for Summer Cuckoo if that's the case. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, wish you all the best of luck. I'll see you guys later, and hopefully it wasn't too distracting to hear me this low, low energy? No, that's not the word. This low ASMR style. I know some people do like it, but I'm always like, I don't like my voice. Anyway, until next time, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Best of luck. Bye-bye.